Leo Ussuri Brown Bear, welcome.
Oh,
Bang, there you go.
thank you
Welcome,
very much.
welcome.
Oh, thank you for having me.
So, been graphic designing and Ussuri Brown Bearing 50-50?
I guess, well, I know, because
How long have you been doing it now?
the brand,
Yeah.
well, I had the initial, idea of, I want to have a clothing brand, or, start a clothing brand when I was 15, but I didn't, print a T-shirt till I was 17. And that first T-shirt was just, very basic sort of thing. It was just digital printed, design onto a unlabeled Gildan T-shirt, which is all very basic sort of stuff. Gildan's cheap as, digital printing's cheap as, and it has its benefits, but at the end of the day, it's fairly low quality. And it doesn't last as long as say embroidery or screen print. But yeah, in terms of the balance, I'm on around 35 hours a week for my my primary job, and then any other time, as much as I can, I try to put into the brand, and I guess where it's needed is when I work a bit harder at it.
Hustling.
Yeah, bro. But yeah, definitely is a balance and a juggle, and then just between those, that's two things, and then it's I got girlfriend relationship, and there's friend relationship, there's family relationships, there's you got to eat, so you got to go shopping, you got to cook, and then exercising as well. So I've been doing a bit of running.
Yeah, been getting into the running?
Yeah, bro. I really
Enjoying
like it. Really like it. It's just freedom, bro. You can go anytime, anywhere, as long as you like, as fast as you like, and you're just free.
Yeah.
Listen with tunes in or no tunes?
I find I'll try to do a mix of both. I'll start from my place in Mount Albert, and while I'm on the sort of roadside, I'll tunes in to sort of drown out the sounds of the universe that aren't sort of
The busy bits.
the busy bits.
Yeah.
And then once I get up to sort of Mount Albert itself or Oahu, it's sort of just nature, and that's when I like to unplug a bit, and then just sort of unplugging your headphones, but it's also unplugging my day a bit, because it's finally relief from all these man-made sounds and things and light and stuff, and it's just I'm free to just hear whatever comes, whether it's birds or it's the wind or it's the thing. It's just quite nice.
Nice.
And then do a couple laps, whatever, and then when I get back to the street, headphones back in. Yeah,
So
bro.
how long have you been running for?
Since I learned how to run, I guess.
Well, there you go. There you go. Since you ended up.
Learn to walk first.
Yeah. Crawl, walk, and then run.
There you go. There you go.
But as in running as a daily sort of trying to get a lot more serious about it.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know, I feel like I've been on and off for a little while, but lately it's been a good maybe 2-3 months.
Nice.
Where I think I went one day, I was just fuck, I want to see if I can run, start every day for a week, and then just see how long I could go. And then maybe I'd miss a day, but then I'd go extra hard the next day after I missed that one. And then, just been trying to keep it up ever since. And if I miss a day, miss 2 days, I'm at least go for a little walk.
Yeah.
But just trying to get out, get the blood pumping, body moving.
Every day, including weekends?
Yeah, bro, especially weekends, because it's I feel like I maybe have more energy, more time, more freedom
more
to just get out and do it. Because I find myself more of an afternoon/night runner. But it's kind of nice, because it kind of adds to the mental challenge. Because that's the whole thing with it as well. Beyond just being exercise, it's really good mental exercise and exercise of discipline. Can I force myself out of comfort into the rain, dark and cold to go and exercise for 30 minutes and run 5Ks or whatever? And it's just apply that sort of model of discipline to my other, the brand and work and stuff, and just focusing on discipline and just pushing myself and going, oh, you comfortable? Nah, fuck you. Get outside, get in the rain, get the thing, put your trainers on, put the hoodie on, and just go for it.
Feels good, doesn't it, though?
It does, bro. It does.
A lot of bit of dopamine as well released.
Exactly, yeah. The
And
runner's
you
high.
can't, exactly.
What do they say? Comfort is the enemy of creativity.
There you go.
There you go, bro. Comfort and conformity.
There you go.
Both two C's that are no-nos.
Big notice. You been going swimming as well after?
A little bit lately, yeah, bro.
A couple of cold dips coming into the winter months.
Yes, bro. One of
Shock
my
the system a little bit.
yeah, bro. One of my good mates, Cuba. He's one of his mates started this sort of challenge where it's every day you have to submerge yourself in a natural body of water. And it's a sort of 30-day challenge. It's cool because they're all connected on social media, so they can sort of hold each other accountable in a way.
Yeah.
And then so a couple times I just tagged along with him, And it's just like, it's, a bit easy when you got a bro to do it with you and you're both going on your both thing. And then a couple times, I was just like, I'll just take myself and do it. But my sort of cheat is going for a run first around Point Chev because it's just close to home and sort of the nicest body of water because, you can pull up your Safe to Swim app. And, bro, you just look like 3/4 of Auckland is like, nah, it's poo-poo water, bro. Just like absolute sewerage. Like,
What? Like Long Bay is a no-go zone. Like Long Bay, you think it's a bloody nice beach.
Yeah.
The whole East Coast Bay is Long Bay.
yeah,
Not many people live there, and it's disgusting. Like it's
that's
bad.
crazy, eh?
Yeah, I think that there's like points where there's been like recent storms that
Yeah.
pretty much all the bays are off limits. Really,
That's what they say,
hard
bro.
to
It's
find
like,
one.
oh, the water's unswimmable because there's been storms. It's like, no, the water's unswimmable because you have bad fucking city planning. That's the real
But,
reason. Like,
I mean, I would have thought Point Chev would be
you'd think so,
because
but
right in the city, right in the harbour, tide going in and out. But
you'd think so, but it's like consistently, it's safe to swim. But the funny thing is because I guess you have Point Chev, but then the beach is around this side, and you got the motorway.
Yeah.
And then round the corner, that's when you get into the city, and then there's I believe it's called Mayola Reef.
yeah,
And that's like
dog park.
permanently
Great dog park.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's like permanently unsafe to swim.
Really?
So it's funny as this side, and then as soon as you get around the peninsula to Point Chev, magically, it's all good.
And you're in Point Chev sometimes. Is that where your family live, or
No, just when I want to go for a swim
Yeah,
after
right.
a run,
Yeah.
I'll just go drive
Right.
to Point Chev, run round and round for however long I want to do. I try to do like 3, 4, 5, 6 Ks, just depending on
Nice.
my energy levels and how I'm going. And then bro, just nip down to the beach after the run and just get in there.
cool down?
Yeah, bro. And then a couple times with my mate Cuba that I mentioned before, we'll go in the mornings. And I think we're going to go tomorrow morning for a bit of a dip. So
How early is that?
in the water at 7.
Oof,
Yeah.
chilly.
Yeah, man.
I think it'll be, I don't know.
Mad
I'll try
respect.
to do like,
I'd be sleeping
Bro.
at 7.
yeah, bro.
Yeah, you would be.
I would be. Yeah.
Yeah.
This guy here though, he's taken in the rise and grind attitude.
Oh, yeah? What time are you up?
Look, mate. Anywhere from about 10 to 6.
Oh, yeah.
But it's pretty chill. It's not, I'm not swimming at 10 to 6.
Well, you could be. It's water down there.
There you go.
I could be. Maybe I have to take it on.
But you might have to check the app first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Check the app.
I don't know about down there. Yeah.
No, it's a bit dodgy, but you could always go like up to
Yeah.
up to your neck. And
Yeah.
then, yeah, bro. So what time are you going to bed if you're waking up at 10 past 6?
About 10?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is that lights off, committing to sleep at 10, or is it like,
Yeah. Oh, it's probably committing to sleep about 10:15.
yeah,
Probably finish out in the lounge at about 10 o'clock.
finish with the lads?
Finish with the lads.
Finish with the
Yeah.
lads.
Go down
Movies
for,
off.
Go down
Yeah.
for a snooze.
Yeah.
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 Chuck on a little podcast or something.
Yeah. Nice.
Out like a light.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, well, look, mate, getting into some of the clothing stuff.
Yes.
Growing up together, obviously we grew up together.
Yes.
You've always
years?
Yes, many a year, and
All of us, actually.
yeah, a couple of years in the holidays, like you said, spent at the printing company. Entrepreneurial tendencies.
Yes.
I think we sold, tried to sell prints.
Yes,
of
I remember
a-
that.
What was it? Was of a.
It was of vintage, I think. I'd assume that they're New Zealand made toys. Well, I
Yeah,
guess,
yeah.
I don't know if you call them toys, but yeah, they're vintage metal, toys of like, tractors and sort of like, I guess, working vehicles.
Oh, yeah?
I think it's
Well,
like
you
a
two
little-
did that.
Little niche. Yeah, well, my dad, it was a project of my dad because I guess the entrepreneurial spirit and sort of energy comes from my father's side.
Yeah.
And yeah, my dad had been collecting these sort of toys. Like, I don't know if either of you boys have ever been to Joe's Garage.
And
They might. I don't know if they'd have them up here, but I think it started in Queenstown.
yeah, I think we went. I think we
would have.
went
We would
to
have gone
the.
there. Yeah.
Well, there you go.
I'm trying
Yeah,
to.
but sorry, mate.
That's right.
I'm trying to see if I can get Leonard to imagine what these things are. But yeah,
Yeah.
they're basically just like these metal toys. And so my dad had a little sort of collection of them. He's like, oh, I reckon if you boys, Henry and I, like took photos of them and like, maybe touched up a little bit in Photoshop, I reckon you could sell prints of these.
Yeah.
Wow. We'll give it a go. So I think it would have been school holidays.
Yeah, little
Little
holiday project, if
Yeah,
you will.
bro. So we chucked a backdrop of like a white poster thing, set up the toy, and then it was Dad's work camera. I
Yeah,
think?
something
Yeah.
like that. It
We
was
had a camera for work, and then
internet at the time.
I think we had one of Dad's sort of employees helping us with bits and pieces, and then we thinged it, printed out. I don't know if we ever sold anything, if it went much further, but it was a fun exercise.
That's good, man, because they'll definitely teach you a few skills. And your dad pointed you in the right direction, at least. That's nice of him.
Oh, definitely, bro.
And obviously, has even done that with, the brand and all the
Yeah,
stuff
bro.
you've done.
And I mean, it's been more than just pointing me in a direction. There's been a lot of, encouragement, and also like, from a young age. Like I remember at like year 7, my dad he showed us we went on Alibaba and he showed us, okay, see these Snuggie blankets? I've seen them on this thing, so now here they are on Alibaba, find the best price, imported these Snuggie blankets, and he's like, all right, I'll give, me and my brothers, he's like, I'll give you 15 each, whatever, doesn't matter how many you have, but just see how many you can sell.
Yeah.
So then we go to school and try flick off Snuggie blankets. We sold a couple each and we just keep the profit. And it's like stuff like that, like little exercise and little things just showing you how easy it is. And so there's now certain situations in the business. Take the keychain, for example, where hop on Alibaba, use their function called like something quote request, where you just put out, here's what I want, put it out into the Alibaba sort of sphere, and then you'll get, X amount of suppliers hitting you back up going, this is our price, this is our minimum order quantity, blah, blah, blah. So you find the cheapest price, then tee up the rest of it with them, proof like your files and specifications back and forth, and then boom, order it, product comes over. And so that was like a good, back in the day, back in year 7, there's like, just training along the years and always sort of...
Shut up.
Well, the clogs are working.
Yeah, bro.
What's the minimum order quantity on something like that, on like a keychain?
With those ones, I think it was 50. I think they normally want 100.
Yeah.
Because they were telling me that something like that, what I had done was, I think you'd obviously have a sheet of metal first, and then they were laser etched. And then I think they might have been like laser cut, or they're hand cut or something, but I know lots of keychains are like poured and molded, and like out of a zinc aluminum type, like alloy type thing, but these were, I wanted stainless steel, like I wanted a very specific thing, and like she'd tell me, it's slightly more expensive because we have to hand cut them, blah, blah, blah. It's like because of a specific shape. But yes, it's how to drop the minimum order quantity from like 100 down to 50. So that was pretty good.
That's the keychain that I've got, right? And
Yeah.
Keys.
Yeah, bro. I've done 2 variations of them. Like the first one
Yeah.
was just standard laser etched. And it sort of gives it like a silver on silver look. And the second lot, they like turn the temperature up and they almost like burn it, so it has like a black on silver look, which is quite interesting. It's a very small detail, but when you have them side by side, you can see it quite plain.
Sick.
For as long as we've known you, you've always been into kind of design and clothing in particular.
Yeah.
Where do you think that all kind of spurred from?
Ooh, that's a tough question. I don't know. I guess, I guess we all to some respect care, about how we look like and how we're perceived by others and how we come across. And, we all take pride in how we look, in our hair and our thing. And like, so I guess, I don't know, I always had that self-awareness, and then at a certain point I remember thinking like, I want to look cool, but I don't want to like wear what that person's wearing, that and what I'm seeing over and over and over, and then a slow shift. And obviously that was like limited by funds that I have at the time, but every now and then Dad would shut me a thing, or I'd save up for something and I'd buy it. But it was just like slowly acquiring all these cool bits and pieces. And then I think also just being plugged in to like general culture, pop culture. You see, you rap, like I'm quite a big fan of like rap and hip hop music, and you see, this rap, that rap, and it's always like freshest style, freshest thing. So yeah, I don't know, I guess that's how it sort of came about.
You always had a lot of cool shit at your house, like your house was the place to go for us young fellas.
I remember the house party days back at Kingfisher Grove, the exploration days.
To go back to those days.
A few Coronas for the boys.
Yeah. A couple double browns out on the peninsula there. If you remember that. Someone brought them to school in the morning in their bag. Like it was a bomb, mate. Like, get the bomb threat called in.
And you're walking around, the bottles are clinking. Like, that's
Stashed them in
good.
someone's locker.
Get them on the bus, boys.
It's because it'll be a Friday.
Yeah.
It'll be a Friday, and I'll be like, I'm going to Leo's house, and then obviously I wouldn't, I'll be going over to stay the night, so I get all my stuff.
Yeah.
And then there's Campbell, the man, the myth and legend. He'll be able to supply the boys. But good
he's looked like
times.
30 years old since he was 15.
Exactly.
14 maybe.
that trampoline at the house as well.
Bro.
That was
Such good times and memories, eh?
But I mean, like, you've always been into fashion,
Yes.
obviously, and then there's the hip hop and rap culture and all that. Like, you're always going overseas and like getting sneakers. And
Yeah, bro. Well, I guess I'm very, very fortunate and lucky in that respect that my family was able to travel us, and I guess that definitely helped with it. I think the most like incremental one was my trip to Japan.
Yeah.
Because how that came about was I was starting to pick up the interest in the clothing brand. And it was funny when I said earlier that was 15 when I first had the idea. It was so weird because it was just like that. Like I remember the day and place specifically. I was on a trip to go see my brother in Greymouth, and my dad and I were in Christchurch. I was like, I want to start a clothing brand that's centered around a Japanese grizzly bear. So that was my starting point. I started doing some research, and I find the Hokkaido brown bear, or as it's known across the pond in Russia, the Ussuri brown bear or Ussuri brown bear. And then I'm quite like I don't know, weird or like appreciative of like numbers. Like my birthday is 3rd of March 1999, like 3399. I always thought it was like a weird number, and so I was 15 years old at the time, and I counted out all the letters in Ussuri brown bear. I was like, it's 15 letters. That's a sign. That's it. And I found that Ussuri brown bear had much more of a ring to it than Hokkaido brown bear, because someone's much more likely to have heard of Hokkaido than Ussuri. And it's just like if you just have a hoodie that says Hokkaido on it, it just looks like you've just visited Hokkaido and that's what it's on. Whereas like no one has ever heard of Ussuri. And when it's just sitting there, even if it's not the full Ussuri brown bear on a hoodie like you or I are wearing, if it's just the first word Ussuri, I have people all the time just come up to me and be like, oh, what is that? What does it mean? And it just starts the conversation. It's like, boom. It's like a good sort of, that's why I was drawn to it, because it is a strange word, being it's a Russian word. But yeah, I forgot what the question was before.
Is there a difference between the bears? Or
no,
it's the same
species.
bear? Just
it's quite funny because they followed the same migration path that the first indigenous people of Japan followed, the Ainu people. So I think we've talked about this before, and you weren't aware of them, and neither was I before I started researching it. I found it really fascinating. So yes, they came down like this.
So Hokkaido is the northernmost tip of Japan, like a little island, right? And and then
like largest, most. I think there might be like other tiny little breakaway ones, but in terms of like a proper solid island, it's the largest one. And yes, these Ainu people came down this migration path. It's like just all these peninsulas and islands that come down from Russia, and so the bear and the people would have followed the same path.
So the bear originated from Russia.
I'd say so, but it's also found in Korea and parts of China, like just parts of Korea and parts of China and parts of Russia and parts of Japan. So it's just that little area of the world where it's like found.
So no, you go.
You go.
No, seriously, you go.
No, I don't want to interrupt you.
I'll go. No.
What I was going to say is, has Japanese kind of fashion had any influence on how you've made your clothes?
Oh yeah, I guess as we were talking about before. Yeah, going overseas is hugely influenced by Bape and Nego himself, who was the founder of Bape. Like his whole story. But yeah, so on that trip to Japan I was getting more serious about the clothing brand. And my original idea was like it was a Japanese manufactured clothing brand that should give me full license to go, Japanese, and just go hard out with it, because I'm deeply inspired. Japan culturally, and also all the aesthetics, and also like the fashion. So we went over to Japan and went to the Tokyo Fashion Trade Show, which was really cool. So
whereabouts was that? In Harajuku?
I can't remember specifically.
Shibuya? Shinagawa?
It would have been maybe out of town a little bit,
Yeah.
or not in the main shopping districts, because it was a big trade center type thing. It was like a big thing. We went to so many stalls and saw all this cool different stuff and picking up business cards for manufacturers and things. But what I learnt later on is it's hard enough to running a clothing brand locally, let alone trying to manufacture in Japan, do it in Japan, bring it. But it's like also fund dependent. Like when you're 17, because that's when I first printed t-shirts. My funds were fairly minimal. Last year of high school, I think, when I was starting to get into it, and built my first website. And then and part of the strategy with the first website was so my dad helped sort of gave me a bit of a loan, and we bought some Bape back from Japan, because that's the cheapest way to buy it is from Bape stores in Japan, because otherwise you're just going to get hit with like a resale sort of price. We went to the Bape store, bought a whole bunch of Bape, and then I guess the concept with the website was almost like a Trojan horse. So, with my Google Analytics knowledge, I set up the site. It was Cloud City was the first site.
Yeah, I remember that actually.
Yeah, right.
Way back.
And I didn't come up with that. That was actually the designer I was mentioning before, who's a good family friend and employee of my dad. It was his site that he was messing around with for like his clothing brand. Actually, it was called Prolific Projects. And then I think he was like stocking some Def t-shirts and skateboard decks, but then sort of fizzled out thing. And then I think my dad had fronted the money for the domain. So dad was like, just set up your stuff on this domain. So I was like, yep, sweet. So took photos of all the Bape stuff, and I guess that's where I also first started with the skill of, okay, let me flat lay this thing, lint roll it, take the photograph, Photoshop it, list it into the website, and learn how to build the website, the product pages, and all that. And then the strategy was, if you're coming to the site and you're seeing Ussuri Brown Bear alongside Bathing Ape, it would give it some credibility.
Yeah.
And also traffic, is because you type Bathing Ape New Zealand, and it's like boom, Cloud City comes up first. You go on here and you go, oh, what's this brand? So that was the sort of initial strategy.
How did that go?
It was good. Yeah, I think it was. I think I've really underutilized social media at that point. Like, I was a lot bigger on Facebook, and I was growing like a following on Facebook and getting interactions. I mean, sales weren't the best, but in terms of getting eyes on and some engagement was good. But it's hard for people to make that leap of faith onto like, let me just buy this thing. It always starts with like friends and family, small businesses like this. And at the time, the product wasn't. It was fairly shit. It was like, or what I consider, because you'll buy some stuff off brands now, and it's exactly what I'm talking about. It's unbranded or unlabeled Gildans with digital print, and they'll sell it to you for a bit of money. And I picked that up. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Like,
So how has it evolved in terms of, obviously you were using the Cloud City website, and now you've got your own website.
yeah.
You're pretty heavy on Instagram from what I see.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, so I guess sold like a good chunk, pretty much all of the Bathing Ape, and then at a certain point I was like, I need my own dedicated platform to Ussuri, so it has its own like experience. And then I made my own website on WordPress, whereas I think the very first site was on Shopify. And what I liked about WordPress is it just gave me so much creative freedom. So what I thought at the time was a pretty cool website. And I think it did look pretty cool, but it maybe didn't have the best like user experience, whereas that's where a strength of Shopify. It's like really simple, like you are a bit more restricted, but then it just makes the user experience so much easier. Whereas like WordPress, you have complete total freedom, but it's like maybe this was over here and this was over there, and stuff would glitch on mobile. And but yeah, so I built its own site and then slowly drifted away and stopped caring about Cloud Cities. It sort of served its purpose in a way, and then also sort of drifted away from Facebook to Instagram, because that's where I saw everyone's shifting to, and it has it's just a way better platform for sharing, I think, especially creative stuff. So it's definitely been a slow and long grind building up Instagram stuff, because in personal life I have a bit of a disconnect from I guess social media in general. I'm just more of a personally sort of private person, but I think as a business tool, I think it's absolutely fantastic. Like best way to get stuff out there and also connect with people. Like the people I've been able to connect with and send my stuff to. I think the most notable being Benny.
Yeah,
just an
it's
Instagram
fucking
DM.
massive,
yeah,
eh?
bro. And I just DM'd her when she had about. I remember I was looking at her page and I was like, Benny's gonna be big, bro. She's got it. She's like talented. She's mean. Like
You
she's
knew,
gonna be
did
big. Yeah, bro. When she was on like 10K followers.
Yeah.
Oh,
And I was just like,
oh,
yeah, bro.
In the beginning.
oh,
Yeah, bro.
that's
And
massive.
I just got in my head and I was like, oh no, I won't DM it like that. I don't know why. I was at that stage where I hadn't really hit anybody up like that. And then when I finally DM'd her, she was on 20K. I'm like, shit, her following jumped in the space of like a few months. And so I sent her a few hoodies. And then she hadn't posted anything going a few months, and like a one follow up, like, oh hey, how's it going? Like, managed to take any photos. Like, oh yeah, I got this photo, whatever. And then months following, hadn't seen anything, but I didn't want to be annoying or stress that sort of very small string of relationship that I have to Benny. And then it was literally maybe a year and a half later from when I first sent her the hoodies. I think it was actually in lockdown. I think it was in that first lockdown, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, she posted like a selfie in my black and red hoodie, which is one of my best selling ones. And just like, blew up. And I've probably gotten maybe like a good 300 plus followers, maybe a couple more from Benny.
Nice.
And I remember,
Any orders as well?
yeah, well, I guess it's hard to track conversions in that way.
Yeah.
But the thing was, because I sent her that hoodie a year and a half ago, when she posted the thing, I didn't have any of those ones in stock. I like
There
one or
you
two
go.
of them, of the black and red, and then I get DMs like, oh, you going to restock the black and red one? And then people seeing that I have the blue and white one, it's like, oh, you going to restock the blue and white one? I'm like, that was from like a year and a half ago. Like, all those ones are sold now,
Yeah.
So it was kind of like, it was absolutely fantastic that she posted it. And the funny thing was, when I sent her the stuff, she was on 20K. When she posted it, she was on 250.
Yeah,
And
that's
in the
crazy,
space
yeah.
of a year and a half, it was just like blowing up. And now, I sent her some more stuff. It was like, boom, she's up on 500. And now you go hop on it, check today, she's probably at 650, close to 700. Just like exponential star power.
Who's next, mate?
Yeah.
Who's the next? You've got an
Well,
eye for
and-
talented artists.
Well, it's tough because I guess in terms of New Zealand, with us being such a small country, I guess it's so hard to become, big here or successful here without getting international acclaim or fame, success. But I feel I really connect more like genre wise, and I guess genre wise with like hip hop and rap.
Yeah.
Just because it's storytelling, and I like stories, and it's also a lot of like recipes or past success and self-determination, grind and you'll make it, and thing, loyalty to the bros, and just sort of I just connect with that, whereas I feel hip hop, every genre has its place and every genre has fans and things, but I just have maybe a little bit more of a disconnect to just normal pop music, because lots of it feels like it's okay, we're making this for the radio, we want sales, we want the thing, whereas rap's always been kind of like that underground. It's started underground. It's just like, this isn't for the radio, this is for my own name or our clique's name or our crew's name, and I just really always like that. And now I'm finding lots of a couple of my good bros today are rappers, and we just have like a really tight bond. And it's also we bond on that sort of creative aspect of both of our different, we come from different places, but ultimately we intersect and meet that we're both chasing our creative dreams. And that's where I intersect like a lot of other different creative people, whether they're specifically painters or things or whatever. And my latest sort of thing that I've been getting into is ceramics, but we can look back to it later maybe. But yeah, so question was the next person. I've been looking at I saw this artist that was following me actually from Benny posting my stuff, and she's in Canada, and I think she's fairly young. I think she's like around 18 years old, and pop sort of music. She's got about 30k followers, but I thought, and she's already following me, so I thought, that'd be quite a cool one to just like 30k followers is a great following. Like, it's all subjective. You can look at Kim Kardashian and you go, that's a following, but it's all subjective. That this her name's Anna Sophia, this artist I'm looking at, her following's 30 something k. Mine's just over 1k. That's 30 times my following, But yes, I'm scoping things out. There's other artists and people locally that I'm sending stuff to, and have plans to send stuff. I don't know.
What are your thoughts on influencers?
I think everyone technically is an influencer. We all have influence.
Yeah.
But I know what you're talking about by that definition is like, I'm not a huge fan because, again, everything has its place, and it's a little bit of respect to you, whatever, like it's your grind, it's your hustle, you're getting your bag, whatever. But it's like, I connect a lot more with creative people, because it's like they're bearing their heart and soul in a way. It's like, here's my creation, here's my brain, here's my thing, putting my heart on my sleeve. Whereas like lots of this influencer type thing is like, I've been genetically gifted to have a pretty face or a beautiful body or a thing, where it's male or female or something in between. And it's like, that's what's driving numbers and sales and thing. And I just like feel a lot more strongly about creative people, and that's who I like to send my stuff to, less so than just like, hey, here's pictures of
you're a
face.
niche brand as well, right? So
Yes.
You've definitely got your pathway now, so it's good that you've acknowledged that and you send it to creative.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah,
I just feel
you wouldn't want to send it to someone who's not going to appreciate it.
Like I do get DMs from people just saying like, oh, hey, I really like your brand, like, send me some stuff. People from 1,000 followers to like, maybe just over 100k, but they're just like a influencer type person. Or it was like one of them, was like, yeah, really into your thing, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, yeah, what are you interested in? Blah, blah, blah. And like, oh, yeah, if you send me this stuff, it's like, it was an English footballer. Just like,
really?
I think he was from England.
Yeah.
Like, ethnically, I think he'd be someone from Africa.
Yeah.
But he was playing for like an Eastern European football team type thing, like Lithuania or something, just on a lower level, like not big thing, but he had like a little bit of following. And then, it started off, the conversation was, I'm interested in your stuff, sending some stuff to me. And then when it got down to the end of the conversation was like, oh yeah, and so a story would be, £100 or thing. And it's like, oh, okay. That's one of those situations. You go, oh yeah, your stuff's cool. Send me some, but also now you got to pay me, also do the thing. So I'd never, I'm not going to just send people stuff. I've got to establish this sort of terms. But yeah, and that's another thing is like pretty much all of the people that I've sent stuff to, they were just really happy and grateful to receive stuff. I feel like that maybe this is a generalization, but I like to think it's true. It's maybe a New Zealander attitude.
Yeah.
Of like, I'll help you out. Like, it's such a small country, you know someone that knows someone that knows someone. But yeah, like all the people I've sent stuff to, they're just happy to receive it. And then, like Benny, it took a little while, but she posted it up, and then it was actually, a really good thing that if she posted it back then, it would have been to 20k, but a year and a half later, it was to 250.
Yeah. Silver lining.
Things happen for a reason, yeah, bro. Serendipity. That's the word, that one, yeah.
How influential do you think like social media following is with like growing your brand and like making it a sustainable kind of thing long term?
I'd say in the current realm, it's everything.
Yeah.
I'd say so, yeah, because like I'm sure you could have a brand, and there are brands that will just be huge that we, never did have like a brick and mortar store. I'm sure the case where it's just been online, you can grow so big online. I think it is good to have like a real store and a physical presence so people can come for the full experience, which is like, I plan on eventually doing. But yeah, I think social media, especially Instagram, is just so influential. And I think obviously TikTok is blowing up and is really big, but like, I don't know, I'm not a huge fan of like Chinese spyware on my phone. So I kind of like, no thank you.
Fair.
Yeah.
That is fair.
But I think a good strategy would be for me to like send some stuff to some TikTokers, and I'll just let them deal with, CCP, just listen to everything they're doing.
It's
and
like
see.
TikTok is a creative as well.
But it's
Yes.
There's a
the
lot
thing.
of creative people out there.
The thing about TikTok
In a
versus
way.
other apps is that.
Well,
Let's get into this. Actually.
Well, how creative is
Let's
it
get
to
into
do
this.
a dance that someone else has made up to a song that someone else has made up, and you've got a pretty face? Again, it comes to the same sort of thing as we're talking about with Instagram influencers. But there are creatives on there, I'll give you that, and there's not every TikTok is like that, to be fair. There's lots of other good TikToks, but
Yeah.
when it comes down to it for me is like, I don't want Chinese spy.
Well, maybe someone else in the flat can have the TikTok for you. And
Well,
then,
my girlfriend Bailey used to have it on her phone. I said, oh, sorry, you're not allowed to have it on your phone. She's like, you serious? I'm like, yeah. Look, I'll hop on Google. Well, even Google's sus because honestly though, that's another biased form of media.
Well, what is it?
exactly.
DuckDuckGo.com.
What the fuck is
It
that?
almost sounds a
Everyone
bit
that's listening to this right now, and you boys here, start using DuckDuck. Use Brave browser as a browser firstly, because it's like an encrypted private browser.
Yeah.
Because Google Chrome tracks everything you do, or just Google in general tracks everything you do, and they're also one of those sort of organizations that sell your data off to the highest bidder as well.
Yeah.
Is everything you're doing on Google Drive, it's all tracked, and it also has a bias. So I've found in particular cases, I'd say, sorry to get political real quick, but I'd say politically I'm a centrist. I like listening to both sides, and I think most sort of like, I don't know, level-headed people lie somewhere in the centre, but they lean this way or lean that way, and you get far out people and far out that way. So in this particular case, I was listening to a conservative opinion from the US. He was, a black man in the US, and I found his video on Reddit, and I was like, on my phone. I was like, I want to look at this on my computer, so I hop on Google, and I type the exact name of his video and his YouTube channel after it. Google doesn't serve it to me. I go, that's weird. So I go specifically to video search. Google won't serve it to me. And I hop on DuckDuckGo, which is, like an unbiased, again, encrypted, doesn't track you browser.
Yeah.
Serves it to me the first thing. So that was a real world example that I've found personally of Google censoring. And he's not a radical. He's just a black conservative man that is sharing opinions and facts about the sort of problems with far left US stuff. But yeah, it was a real example of censorship and Google not serving an opposite-sided opinion because Google is left-wing because it's owned by a person or organization that are left-leaning, so they want to champion the left-leaning stuff, and that's what we're seeing more and more. That I'm also concerned about is censoring of opposition. You should be able to hear both sides to everything. Doesn't mean you have to agree with everything. Doesn't mean that side's right, that side's wrong. You should be able to hear it and make your own decision from what you hear. Sorry for a little side.
I'm
We're here on DuckDuckGo now.
Yeah,
We're here on
DuckDuckGo is the
DuckDuckGo.
browser. And
There you go. Tired of
Yeah.
being tracked online? We can help. There
tracker
you go.
blocking site encryption.
there you go.
So that's your go-to. You don't type in Google, you type in DuckDuckGo.
I'll go on Google every now and then because Google does have its merits with like all that tracking stuff. It's
Yeah.
like better for mapping services and like because DuckDuckGo isn't tracking you. If you type something, it's not gonna if you want something specific around your area and local stuff.
It's not going to come up.
So every now and then I'll go on Google, but for other stuff I like going on DuckDuckGo.
That's quite interesting.
That's massive.
That's
That's
some few hours earlier.
DuckDuckGo. I'll be sure to fucking have a go at that.
Yeah, bro, and Brave browser. So that's its own like whole browser that you can use, and you can actually import all your settings and bookmarks from Chrome. So I recommend that to everyone. Even my mum, I'm like, use this.
Brave browser.
Because people say, I'm not doing anything wrong. It's like, it doesn't matter.
What?
We need some freedoms, bro. Some like privacy, and it's like they're just slowly chipping away all your freedoms till it's gonna be like, it's gonna be freaky.
Yeah, well, it's just like when you start talking about something and then Go on your phone.
Exactly. They sell it data off. So yeah, you pick up your phone and you go. So we go, oh, there's nothing wrong with that. But I think there's something wrong with that. And I think it's only going to get worse if you just keep allowing, this is slowly shifting the goalpost till it's unrecognizable. Like, you say, you ask your grandparents, like the world is unrecognizable to them,
Yeah.
Like,
well, it's unreal. Like, you're on your phone, you open up a new app, and it keeps asking all these permissions, and then like you're literally signing away your right to do stuff on that app when you say allow.
Yeah, exactly, bro. And like with just downloading Messenger on your phone, I'm pretty sure they say they don't, but if you have access to a microphone, camera, tracking, all this data, when it's on the app, who's to say that they can't do that when you're off that?
Yeah. Well, and then access to all your photos, like that's pretty crazy.
Exactly. It's like, oh, I want to share this photo to my Facebook. Well, allow us access to all your photos.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I want to post this photo, so yeah, I'll do that. And it's like, I know, but I'm guilty of that as well. Like I use Facebook Messenger all the time, and but where I can, I like to reclaim some freedoms at least.
Where does it end though? Where does it end?
Where does it end? Yeah. What's the end game?
What's it in your eyes? What's the end game? Like
of like Google and stuff.
Of just that invasion of privacy.
It's a great question. I think ultimately it's just a monopoly. Like they have a monopoly on thought, and like monopoly on ideas. They can sense stuff. They can just sway and do anything they want to. So it's about power, and ultimately it's about power and it's about money. So Google, it's so powerful, it's so much money, and they just want more money and more power. And I think it's that simple. They just want
power.
And that you can sway people, you can do things, you can sense their opinions, so people don't come to this light where you go, can't I just be in the middle somewhere, just getting unbiased information.
Yeah.
And I'm not being tracked, and I'm not being I don't have to align this way, I don't have to align that way, just kind of be somewhere in the middle. But it's like, no, you need to be feed you this, feed you that, like listen to your thing, and here's this advert, and like come join the left wing. I
mean, it's basic propaganda.
But it is.
That's just been hidden by social media, how useful it is, and technology is great. But
yeah, bro. Actually,
I get what you mean.
What makes you think of is socialism. I think start getting to like almost like conspiracy type things, but it's
I'm interested.
It's very real. Like there's this thing called like the Bilderberg Group, where it's like this meeting that goes on somewhere in Europe, where it's like global elites all meet in a private meeting and they discuss whatever they want to discuss. Like there's real events and real cases where very, very, very powerful people all meet up and have their secret little meetings. And you look into stuff that Bill Gates is doing with wanting to centralize agriculture, and like it basically comes down to like socialism, I think, which is synonymous with communism. And what was World War I and World War II fought for? It was to fight fascists and communists. And communism, socialism all came from like Karl Marx and Lenin, like Marxist, Leninist ideas and theories. It was like a book. And you look at socialism, communism practice has like killed the most people in the world. It's killed millions and millions and millions. Like Stalin killed far more than Hitler.
Yeah.
And like when Mao Zedong, they were like rolling out communism, which is socialism. Like by definition, you look at the socialist states today in 2021, by definition, by their like government party, it's socialist. They may call their party name the Chinese Communist Party, but by proper like governmental definition, they're socialist. So you look at those 4 countries: China, Cuba, North Korea, and Laos. And I think Venezuela is maybe like a pseudo-socialist thing, but those 4 are full-on socialist. Now you look at your freedoms of expression in those countries. You also Google top 10 most censored countries in the world. Those 4 that I just listed.
You Google or
states.
you DuckDuckGo?
You DuckDuckGo. He's got me there. DuckDuckGo. You DuckDuckGo. 10 most censored countries in the world. All 4 of those on that top 10 list, and that's where I think it gets to, is the ultimate control. Is you go, oh no, you can't have a differing opinion. Yeah. Because now you get locked up, or you get in the case of China, you get disappeared. And when I disappeared, you're in a concentration camp. I mean, just look at the Uyghur Muslims.
Yeah, what? That is fucking crazy.
Insane, bro. So that's just an example of socialism in practice. Like, all you have to do is look at the history books and even current stuff like the Uyghur Muslims to know that socialism is very, very dangerous and very, very bad and has killed millions and millions and millions of people. And like I was just going to finish on the Mao Zedong thing, when he centralized agriculture and the whole sort of rollout of communism in China, they estimated like 50 million died, bro. Like 30 million from starvation. So it basically puts all the power into the hands of the state or the government.
Yeah.
And that goes in before talking about as money and power is the ultimate ruler of the world. And, you know, if government can have more power, then they can also make more money. And it's like, okay, all the farming is now done by the government. And it's like, it's not
Unreal,
a good thing,
isn't
bro.
it?
It's just
Yeah.
millions and millions perished.
Isn't there something like there's 4 families in the world that like kind of, I don't know if is that a conspiracy? Or
Yeah, I know, you can look into
You
all
know?
sorts of stuff. I think there's probably more
4 families.
just
in the
because the world's so big. But yeah, you can look at some families that have been very powerful and very wealthy over time, all around the world. Like I don't know, you have like your Rothschilds and your Rockefellers.
Yeah,
and I
that's,
think of
that's
like
the one. Rothschild.
Jewish, German, Austrian sort of origin, and then you have like the House of Sword. So that's, you know, Saudi Arabia, that sort of family that have been power and money all the way, and there's like different lines and sort of things that
Pulling
have all
strings,
been,
owning a lot of businesses and
well, it's ultimately like banking, because if you control the money, then you can control economies,
everything,
you can control people, but then also media. I guess that's why it's quite scary, is because like this majority movement or people leaning one way, majority like control banks, control money. So it's just manipulation and again power money. So no, I think we all need to break free, just reclaim our freedoms, and one of them, DuckDuckGo, Brave browser.
It's a start, isn't it?
Unfiltered water. I mean, filtered water, should I say, but not the stuff that comes out of your tap. Calcifies your pineal gland. Google that.
We can get into Auckland tap water, but we wouldn't start
what's
there.
this?
Oh, well, you know how like tap water, Auckland tap water has like fluoride and chlorine in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but fluoride's supposed to be good for your dental.
Is it?
Go that, mate.
Well, the thing is,
Because I think you're fine.
It's
not true.
I almost feel like I should call our dentist friend Grady Bauer to have a discussion here about the benefits of fluoride. I'm not sure about anything else, but the one thing that he was felt
Sure, we
very
can talk about the
strong
benefits, but we also have to talk about as the negatives.
okay, let's just say a blanket statement that the benefit for it is that it's
doesn't outweigh the negatives, in my opinion, which
Good
is why I don't
for-
drink it anymore.
What are the negatives?
I think it's associated with like some cancers and diseases.
Fluoride.
Yeah, I
Or
probably need to
the-
go through and do more research on it, just so I can be more concrete to share that information. But I think, it's like, I don't know, it's like heart disease or like, but I was going down the rabbit hole, but it was enough to me, and it's been echoed throughout like podcasts and stuff that I listen to that like, tap water is and because they use chlorine as a way to like sort of bleach it. Oh, I mean, like, I don't know, take all the bacteria or potentially harmful things out of it. But I like traditional things in a lot of way, like maybe how we used to do stuff as humans in an earlier age.
Yeah,
we
I
used
agree.
to just drink, catch a rainwater or drink it straight from a spring or and like I like going back in some senses to how we used to do stuff. So now I have like here to have an office water cooler in an office.
Yeah.
So I have one of those in my room.
Oh, nice.
So I just fucking, pay like a monthly invoice, and they come drop like the 15-litre bottles at my door. And then,
They're good, man. The cool water as well.
Yeah, bro. And like for people that maybe buy, they'll buy like a case of individual plastic because they go, I don't want to drink tap water, but they buy the big case. It's like, everyone's conscious about plastic and thing and environment, but it's like when it comes to that stuff, like I talk to so many people and they're like, oh yeah, I don't drink tap water either. Oh, what do you do then? Like, oh yeah, I buy a case like this. And it's like, what about all that plastic?
Yeah.
It's all plastic with individual bottle and the whole thing's shrink wrapped in plastic, whereas like this is one big reusable thing.
Well, because you send it back off, right?
Yeah,
and then
they-
it gets
I
filled
just
back up.
leave it outside
Yeah.
and then come and collect it.
Where are they getting their water from?
Hopefully springs, something, I don't know. Up north,
Not
down
pulling up
south,
from a tap.
east, west,
Are you sure it's not from your local tap water?
Long Bay,
Hopefully it's not from a long day.
from the sea.
Are you like vegetarian or like vegan or anything like that?
No. I do enjoy like, I don't know. I'd say I have like an eclectic taste across the board. You know what I mean? Like I'm interested in like.
Well, you like food. I remember you used to.
I do love food. I just like anything that I like.
Yeah.
Like I'm happy to just eat vegetarian food, but I also like meat in some ways. And like lately, like this past week, for example, I've been like eating like I made a big batch of just like chickpea and potato curry because it was like cheap. And so I'm happy to mix it up, and some vegan dishes are good, some vegetarian dishes are good, and some meat dishes are good.
Yeah. Well, because why I say that now because like a lot of brands going through like all their sustainable phases because everyone wants to be sustainable. So like,
Yes.
are you guys going with the trend or you know, like
Well, I guess I know we're sustainable where we can be at the moment,
Yeah.
and where I sort of implement that best is in the packaging. So
Got the eco bags.
yes, that's a very easy one that I think everyone can do. But it's funny, like I won't mention the brand, but it's another local brand that's a lot bigger than mine.
Yeah.
But one of my flatmates ordered a bag.
Yeah.
Ordered a package. Sorry.
Yeah.
And I get it. It's just like your standard plastic thing. And I was like, oh, come on, you're lacking.
Really?
And the brand experience, because with my whole brand is I want it to be an experience. So you get this, and I guess it's also, to me, like I'm very, I guess, perceptive of things. Like if I was to open a package from this brand, the way, it's open and what's inside it and what comes out is, that was an intentioned experience
Want it
from
to be
the
a memory,
sender.
right?
Yeah, to have for the receiver. So I think about that. I think sort of one of my, operating sort of statements or things I live by is like, if it like can be, then it should be done. So if I can consider it, then I should probably do it. Like, let me, sometimes I'll do personalised cards for people because I work at a printing company, so I'll turn around, custom printed card, and then like the scraps for that card, I keep all the scraps, then I'll just use it for stuff later, like what I find myself using for the particular offcuts from doing the custom branded cards, or even the cards that aren't custom, like custom name, they still have the brand story and like, a bit about the Ussuri Brown Bear and blah, blah, blah. The offcuts, I'll keep them in, like I'll use them when I'm doing clay. Like if I'm making like a mug, I'll use these things. There's like A3 pieces of paper, and like, so I try to use my scraps from that stuff. Use like eco bags and sort of packaging. I use like craft envelopes. I mean, I don't know. I guess craft is like a recycled paper stock. But yeah, I guess the ultimate shift, and which I would really like to do eventually, is have like the clothing be a lot more environmentally friendly, because it's just tough though, because it's a big leap.
It is,
That's one of those problems.
And it's
is like,
more expensive.
Definitely, and you're always going to have brands that don't give a shit.
Yeah.
And people are always going to want a bright purple hoodie or a bright orange hoodie. What
It
that
feels nice
involves
on the inside.
is all the dyeing, all the thing. Then when does the runoff dye go? It goes to the ocean. It's like there's always going to be this problem of like, sort of eco-consciousness, and like people also wanting to consume cool-looking stuff. Like it's going to have to be, I don't know where this all goes, like with consumption, with with the environment and all this stuff. But what I do know is like we're material people. We want cool things. We want bright color. We want thing. And it's like, it would be a huge shift for me to just go, okay, I'm using all organic stuff. But I think there are, like ways I can probably improve the process. But as it stands, I use New Zealand brands wherever I can. Like that hoodie that you're wearing, that I'm wearing, the brand is called Aurora. And they're a brand that's been around in New Zealand since the 90s. And I think they manufacture their stuff in China. And I think they're all like, certified thing, like factory workers. It's all like up to par with like, say, AS Colour. Which I think, I don't know. They can tell you we're so eco-friendly with stuff, but we're not over in the factory in China, so how would we ever know?
Yeah.
But, I don't know. But yeah, I think like Cosmic, like the smoke sort of store, they have a range of organic clothing, because the owner, Kazi, his nickname, is a family friend of my now stepdad Craig, because they all live down in Taylor's Mistake, Christchurch.
Yeah.
So I've had a couple conversations with Kazi, and then my mum told me about his organic clothing range, and they've got some really cool cuts, because it's one thing to source organic clothing, but it still has to be cool, as I guess what I was trying to say before.
I mean, it's still got to compete with good streetwear
With
brands.
good stuff. Yeah, exactly, bro. So it's, I don't know, and I think I could, maybe have a range of organic stuff, but then still do some stuff, and then maybe reduce, I don't know, my footprint there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
It does depend, though. I mean, how focused are people on sustainability? I know it's becoming more and more of a thing as kind of time goes on, but let's take Leonard for example. Leonard, when you buy something, do you go out of your way to check that it's a sustainable piece of clothing, like every time?
well,
I don't think you can.
nah, yeah. I mean, it's
It's
hard.
not. You don't go on a website and unless it's specifically
Yeah.
for a
No.
piece of sustainable clothing. Like
Yeah.
obviously we talked to Good Lids.
Yeah,
And
yeah, that's a good
that's-
example.
Their whole brand
Website,
as
yeah.
being sustainable. Him, so on and so forth.
What's that guy's name again?
Dane.
Dane.
Dane,
I
yeah.
met him once at
Dane
like
Watson.
a clothing pop thing. It was at a brewery in Mount Eden.
Oh yeah.
That was, I think,
Yeah.
I'd seen them around on Instagram. Then I had a chance to have a chat to the dude. I wasn't like popping up there as like a vendor. I was just passing through because my mate organised it.
Yeah.
Yeah, friendly, cool dude. And it was hear out a story and like sourcing the hats from China and all that hemp thing.
Yeah,
blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool, and I think that's something that I'd like to do in the future. Is more hemp and organic clothing, and have bits and pieces. But it looks like all his stuff is, more than just competing. It's doing really well compared to other hats. Like I'm seeing good lids all the time, like people wearing it.
Well, that's what we were saying to him. He was quite humble in saying that.
Yeah.
He doesn't think it's quite as big.
But
it's all subjective.
Exactly.
It's very
Yeah.
subjective. It's like to a kid down in Canterbury or bad example, but somewhere in New Zealand you go, I've never heard of good lid, and you can find so many people that haven't heard of it, but like us, we're all keyed into a similar thing where we're this demographic of people that buy good lids, so we see good lids, and like it is like the following subjective. I can't recall off the top how many followers he has, but it must be in the range of
6.5.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like where I stand, that's 6 times my following. I'd be so grateful to have that. But it's just
exactly.
There's no ceiling on that stuff, so that's where it can fuck
Yeah.
with you as well. But it is good ultimately to be humble, but then also to have like an internal drive for success, to keep growing in success.
Yeah, you can't settle.
No.
You can't just one day go. I'm sure it comes to a point with some people that one day they're like, I've had enough and this is this. But for people that want to build a brand, it's usually about waking up and being like, how can I improve it? How can I make it better? So on and so forth.
Yeah, because it needs to sustain and grow. And like, I'm sure he goes, I want to, push it to the next level. Like I've seen now he's rolling out clothing more than just the hats. Because I think when he first started, it would have just been hats in the name, good lids. So that's something that I want to do, keep growing so that I can, like the brand-wise, so that I can grow creatively and go, I want to do this and do that and just try different things. And at the end of the day, you need a sustainable business, because if you unless you have so much capital that you can just keep throwing it in a hole as a creative sort of expression, I'm not in that situation. Yeah. I need the money to be coming back to serve the brand, to at least, break even and keep it afloat, which I'm happy with. I don't need to make anything from it at this point in time. I make my money from my day job, and Ussuri is ultimately, it's a passion. Like I really, really do love it. And it's what gives me a lot of pride, and I guess meaning as well, is that, like I've got this big bear tattooed on my arm, on my wrist, and it's a daily reminder of, what I'm really passionate about, and what I think, ultimately, to get almost on like a deeper philosophical level, is what I'm here to do. This is it. This is the brand, this is the thing. But it's not just making hoodies and making t-shirts. It's like this brand can grow into whatever I want it to be. And what I've done recently is ceramics.
Yeah.
Which I'm really, really passionate about. And it's like that's another thing that I'd highly recommend to people. Like if you see something pop on Instagram, it's like a ceramic course, like go do it.
Really?
But it's so good. It's like, I like to call it like meditation with a receipt for your time.
Mm-hmm.
So, you're sitting there, it's like a single-minded focus, which I'm also a big fan of, things that are single-minded focuses, like, sailing or surfing or thing where you're so focused on the thing that all your problems and all your troubles, all this other shit doesn't exist. It's just you and this thing. I guess clay can be different because it's so slow, but still, it's like I'm ultimately just focused on crafting, working this one thing. And I can sit there for hours with like no music and I'm just doing clay. And then the receipt part is, wow, I got all the stuff that I've now made that also, if it's treated right, it'll last forever.
What kind of stuff are you making?
I find I'm quite fond of making pipes.
Oh yeah.
Yep. To be, smoke what you will.
Yeah.
Well, maybe some things you shouldn't smoke, but that's not for me to say ultimately. I like green stuff myself.
You greens,
occasionally. Not at the moment.
Not at the moment.
No, I've been alcohol and cannabis free for a month.
Nice.
Well, sorry. I'm wanting to do it for a month.
Yeah.
I think I'm almost like 20 days through.
That's
Congrats.
good
Which
effort.
feels- that's good
Thank you,
effort.
bro. Yeah, it's just good to
Congrats.
have clarity, and then it's also with the running as well. It just makes my mind feel just really sharp.
Yeah, man. More productive because of it.
100%.
More better sleep as well.
I'd say so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I guess
All
I
adds
know like
up.
cannabis can be a bit of a paradox. Like you can feel more creative with it, but also your productivity can go down. I mean, I'm speaking for me personally. It's like I'll just get distracted and thing like easily distracted. And I just want to get inspired by this, so I'm down off this path. But I don't finish that thing, and I go do this, and it's like, okay, I spent this whole day like on 8 different things, and I'm 20% on this one in terms of finishing it, 30% here. And it's like I didn't actually accomplish one thing.
Yeah.
I pushed the bill a little bit further on all these different things, but I'm still left, without, oh shit, that thing was due tomorrow, or I need to. And it's like, I don't know. I think I want to re-establish a better relationship with, cannabis. And I had a good relationship, I'd say, with alcohol already. It was just, for me, it's like social situations.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas cannabis was not. It's like a daily sort of thing. But yeah, so just wanting to establish better relations and just, put cannabis back to social sort of, a relaxed sort of thing rather than trying to incorporate it into a work kind of thing, like Ussuri work. But yeah, in terms of, that's another sidetrack. I'm pretty good at sidetracking.
That's good, bro. That's
what podcasts are about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You've got time to go into whatever you please. It's good. Makes it fucking
so the thing that I really do enjoy is pipes. And then I've been
doing. Are you selling them or?
Yes. So my first run of ceramics at this pop-up store called The World is Omni pop-up in St. Kevin's Arcade, K Road.
Right.
And so that pop-up is run by Jordan. Sort of artist name is Luca, and he's a DJ for a rap group called Omnipotent.
Yeah.
So that's where the name of the sort World is Omni. And yes, he's a real cool dude, cool group that make dope music. Recommend check them out.
Mm-hmm.
And so he started just like a pop-up space on K Road. It's like 16 square meter shop, which is not big. And the whole idea was like goods sold on commission, and then probably some of his personal stash of stuff. And so people bring in, you got Polo, Nautica, but then you got Supreme, you got Bape, like all this real, this real cool shit, and like sneakers and things. Just been building up the store and getting the racks and the thing and the shoe storage, and stocking local brands as well. And so I thought, so I'd met Jordan once or twice, but just in like, inebriated settings where I'd been drinking or thing, and it was just like in passing type thing. So we hadn't actually properly connected.
Mm-hmm.
And I just went in one day because I'd seen them popping up on Instagram. I was like, this is mean. And so I went in and sort of, the proposal was like, would you stock my stuff, my clothing? He's like, the rack's pretty full at the moment, blah, blah, but I've been seeing your vests around. I really like those. So we can take a couple of those because we're so full. And they are. It's like full, and they have even a storage space where that's full as well. So they just rotate stuff through because they always have stuff. And in the closing of that conversation, I was like, another thing I maybe wanted to see if you're keen on is the ceramics. And I showed him a picture. He was like, yes, bro. Like, when can you bring them to me? I was like, come, drop them next week type thing. I just had to figure out like the packaging for it because, again, I want it to be an experience. So I made a particular card that said, thank you for purchasing one of our products. This is our first run of ceramic things, blah, blah, blah. We're primarily a clothing brand. You can come check us out here. And then care instructions for the ceramics. You don't want to chuck it in the freezer or the thing, and just be careful with that sort of stuff. And so I had my first range of about 13 items. It was maybe like a handful of pipes, and then there was like one little jewelry bowl type thing, a mug, 2 incense holders, and 2 ashtrays. So I've sold about half of the stuff there. So there's still a few bits and pieces if people want to go and check it out. And then I think going forward, I could potentially just put it straight into my website.
Mm-hmm.
But I just wanted to try something new.
Are you selling any of that online?
No, not at this stage. So my first, and only range that's been available for purchase to the public. So I've been making, what I would consider, pottery stuff for like, I don't know, a year and a bit now. Maybe, I don't know.
Where are you doing it? Are you doing this all at your house? Or?
So I'll make everything at my house, and so I don't have like what you always see when you think of pottery is a wheel.
Yeah.
It spins by itself, and you just think. So I don't do that.
Yeah.
I just work and shape stuff, and I do have like a disc that like I hand spin it like that because it's good when you're working on stuff. Okay, I'll spin it around here and spin it around, and so how I sort of got into the whole ceramic journey was it started with polymer clay, which is like a plastic composite clay that you cook in a kitchen oven. So it's not real proper ceramic pottery clay. It's like so sculpting modeling clay. And so the first sculpture I made was the bear, the samurai helmet.
Saw that, yeah.
Yeah, and it started with I was at my cousin actually Alex Hannum's house, and he had a block of this polymer clay stuff, and he was messing around with it. So I picked up a chunk, and we were all sitting there. Because my brother was flatting with him at the time, and all 3 of us were sitting there messing around with this sculpting clay, this polymer clay. And I was like, what am I going to make? Well, the only thing I can make is a bear. That's what I want to make. If there's anything I care about enough to commit to making a sculpture, it's a bear. So I started the process of making this bear, and then it turned out that I worked on it for a year and a half. Like, I worked on it quite a bit, and then I stopped doing it, and then I'd go, in and out on it. But the good thing with polymer clay is that you can come back to it. whereas proper ceramic pottery clay, it bone dries in about a week if you just let it sit.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I sort of roughly counted my hours for the first initial sculpture, including painting. It was like 150 hours. So that's something that I'm really proud of. So that was my first sort of, I'd say, proper introduction. Like, I may have done stuff in very early years in school and art classes and whatnot, just making basic stuff. That was like a first proper, I spent a lot of time and effort on this sculpture. And then, fast forward a little bit, my flatmate, Kahu, who we were mentioning before the mics and camera stuff came on. There's a DJ. DJ's in a duo called Bavu. Catch him, George FM. Brightside, Sunday, 11 a.m. It's bros, shout out. Yeah. Also, has been a big proponent and sort of supporter of the brand. So he had like this chop bowl. I was like, oh, bro, it's a mean bowl. He's like, oh yeah, my mum made it. She like messes around with ceramics with clay. Like, I'll have to introduce her to you sometime. I was like, yeah, bro, mean. And then fast forward quite a bit of time, and he was having a birthday party at our flat. His mum came around, made a famous sort of like, potato and egg salad.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, we just kicked off a conversation about ceramics and the brand, and I went, showed him my sculpture and all the Ussuri stuff, and told her the whole story, about the brand, which I guess would be good to mention on air as well. What the bear and the samurai helmet represents and what it stands for, and it's basically my symbol of duality, of balance. So it's a mother bear, which represents order and care and compassion, and the samurai helmet represents chaos, being a warrior and taking action. And yes, I told her the story, and she thought that's a cool story, because you see so many brands or things where it's just about like, here's a cool thing and that's about it, and that's the depth of it all. Whereas I'm a detail oriented person. I like details and I like depth, and so I thought if I have a brand, it needs to have depth, but it didn't initially. That's another thing I find with my creative stuff is I'll make a design or do something and then figure out the meaning later. Almost like here's the idea from the ether, from wherever ideas and creativity comes from, and comes through me, and then I figure out years later, like I think it was a year or two after I was looking at the bear, I was like, it's not a male bear, because I thought it was a male bear because it's a samurai, it's a warrior, it's tough, it's staunch. I was like, it's a mother bear, because now it represents both sides, male and female energy. It represents everything. Like the actual symbols in the helmet, one is mountain and one is sea. Just like the simple, what is it, kanji?
Yeah, the characters.
Yeah, there's two Japanese characters, mountain and sea, because it's like, for me, that's a duality, mountain sea, but it's also where the bear, spends most of its time, Hokkaido in the mountains and also in the sea, because they eat fish. And it also ties in to the Ainu people. It's another little sidetrack I want to go on, is with the Ainu people, so part of their religion, which is actually very similar. That's just my nicotine.
Snoosh.
Shout out, Sin. Bring it back, Jacinda. What are you doing?
Did they get taken away?
Yeah, ban them.
Oh, weird.
Under the guise of harm reduction.
Since
that's
when?
One of the least harmful ways to take nicotine. Last year, November or something.
I didn't even realise.
News to me.
Well, it wouldn't affect you guys, but it's big for me. So now I have to buy them off. I just went on Facebook Marketplace, searched white foxes, found this guy that had zins, which are 1/4 the strength of white foxes, and he bought like just a pallet of them, because before they banned them, all the people that held stock here in New Zealand, the actual companies themselves,
selling them off,
started selling them by the pallet. So he bought a pallet, so he just has stacks of them to sell. So I just every now and then link up, and
They have a use by date?
I think they last about a year, but use by dates is just a suggestion anyway.
Yeah,
so,
that is.
To backtrack from there to the what's before that, I guess.
We're talking about the Ainu people.
Yes, Ainu. So with the Ainu people, with their religion, which I find very fascinating, which again, I didn't know about any of this when I started the brand.
Did you actually ever get to go to Hokkaido?
No. That's the whole thing. That's why I want to go back. That's if I want to travel anywhere internationally, it's Japan, specifically Hokkaido. Yeah. And with their religion, which is similar to like the Māori religion, and I guess other religions that are old, that are centered around believing that animals and the earth around you, so the trees, the mountains, the lakes, the sea, are all like a deity or a spirit. And their belief is that when the most powerful, spirits come from the realm of, the gods, and manifest in the physical form in the realm of man, only the most powerful spirits take on the most powerful physical form, which is the bear.
The bear.
So they hold the bear as like their most, powerful and supreme figure. So you'll see like, chiefs, or I guess used to when the culture was a lot richer, which was, mainland Japan tried to put a whole stop to that. It's another different story, but that's why the culture was swept under the rug, and probably why, you're Japanese and you didn't know about it.
I'm sure my mum wouldn't even know about it as well.
Yeah. And so, the chiefs, the Ainu chiefs, wear like a headband. There's like a wooden carving of a bear. And like all in their, I guess around their dwellings and things, you'd see bear skulls. And the idea is, if you come across a bear and you kill a bear, one, you're releasing that spirit back to its realm. So it's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also a blessing from the gods, because that bear, all that meat, that's food, that's sustenance, the fat as well, and the fur, like, boom. And then the bones, I guess, are part of the spiritual religious aspect as well, but a bear was a blessing. And another really interesting thing that I found through research was they have this ritual where they would, find a mother bear with the cubs, and they'd take one of the cubs, or maybe two of the cubs, but I think it was like take one, and then you'd probably kill the mother one, kill the other cub, and then they'd raise the cubs, or one cub, for up until they're about 3 years old. So I guess it depends how old it was when you get it, but they'd raise the cubs better, if not the same, as the chief's children. So like the chief's wife, or females would breastfeed the bear cubs, and so they'd raise it, as this, because and their belief is that this is the all high, this is a bear, and then when they get to that age of around 3-4 years old, they would ritually sacrifice it.
Wow.
They'd tie it to a post, in their sort of town or village centre, and this is where it's now outlawed and banned, because it wasn't like you'd think, okay, it's the thing, they'll just kill it quickly and kill it humanely, but they'd fire arrows at it.
Oh my goodness.
And then they'd slit its throat. Which is, I guess, I'm not a fan of animal cruelty, but people have their own, religious beliefs and things, and it's like it would be a bit more on board if it was a bit more of like a clean, very quick, humane killing.
Yeah.
But that was just something that I found was so interesting and fascinating, and it almost like ties in when you think about it, like the sacrifice of an all high, powerful, very important being. Almost makes me think of like Christians with Jesus Christ. He was the Son of God and he was sacrificed for us. It's almost like a purifying aspect. I just thought that was interesting, how they sort of, I drew that similarity myself.
The Ainu people, so the chiefs are believed to be reincarnated, or the spirit goes to bear? Was that the wrong way around?
I wouldn't know, but the belief is with like spirits from the realm of the gods would inhabit bears. So the bear's spirit is a powerful, spirit of a god or a deity. Yeah. And I guess I know I'd be interested to look into what they believe humans are. I mean, I guess to think that maybe we all come from this same sort of ether or space or universe or whatever, but it's just that bears are the most powerful and sort of all high.
So interesting.
Yeah, very fascinating, eh? So I'm really keen to go over to Hokkaido and maybe even shoot like a short documentary. I'd be really fascinated in doing that.
What are the people doing now? I mean, obviously there's still communities.
So with like their culture being like assimilated and sort of decimated by mainland Japan. Yeah. And they were the Ainu people were only recognized officially by, mainland Japan as the first indigenous peoples of Japan in like 2007. Wow. And so there's like and one of my designs actually sort of captures this sort of assimilation and I guess deterioration of their culture. And so it's like a classic colonist strategy. They didn't want to just go in and murder them all, but what they did was it started with trade. So it's like, okay, we're trading food and things for whatever, but all the power kept building up in the hands of mainland Japan. Yeah. And then eventually over time, the Ainu people became reliant on that Japanese trade, on their food, on their thing. And then so now all the power is in the hand of mainland Japan. So now they have the control. And then over time, I think they implemented a policy, and they outlawed Ainu names, and renamed children. Shut down teaching of the culture, to shut down Ainu schools, and they'd marry off Ainu women to mainland Japanese, farmers and things. And, the farmers would like rape them and things. Like, it wasn't consensual on the part of the Ainu. It was like very forceful.
Yeah.
And I don't know if there was too many like actual mass like murders per se of them, but it was a very crafty sort of almost like a cultural low key genocide of we'll do it this way, of like, let's just drown out, let's just muddy out your culture and thing, and we'll just breed it out of you because there'll be no full blood Ainu. So, they went from being a very high and rich population and culture to being sort of decimated and thinged. I think that started from the early 1800s throughout, and now I think there's even government Japanese government efforts to help revive and teach the cultures. So I think there is an effort to revive and reteach this culture. It's interesting because you can draw many similarities to what's happened here with Māori, and it's being re-innovated and retaught, and like I'm all for it because like we're all, I guess, I don't know, you look at subjective, we're all immigrants.
Yes.
If you go back further enough, we all came from somewhere to come to this place.
Yes.
But like the Māori were here first, and it's like, I'm fascinated by rich cultures and traditions and things, and I think it's beautiful. I think it just adds, varieties to spice of life. So spice it up a bit,
Spices of life.
Yeah.
It's massive.
That's crazy about that.
You've taken me on a journey,
I
man.
know.
Yeah, right. I was just jumping all over the place from here to there to there to there.
A to B. But
It's interesting. Something that I've definitely learned something today.
there's a lot of parallels
hear.
to that, the Ainu people and different heaps of different cultures and countries.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
What I find the main thing is like definitely being, island dwellers, heavily reliant off, seafood and just being, like a simpler culture of like hunter-gatherer sort of thing. You're reliant off the land, off the sea, off the thing. Whereas, other cultures around the world advanced very quickly, through the Bronze Age of the thing, and just like, look at ones that are way older, like you got England, like China, you got like all these cultures that advanced so steadily, and they're like, all right, well, England is the biggest example of just like global crazy expansion. But then, before that, you had like the Romans, and you also had the Persians. It's just, it's gone on for time of like, people always, kill who's nearest to them. They want to expand, they want a thing. Money and power always comes back to that. It's like, no one culture or person is exclusive to, taking advantage or colonizing or murdering or pillaging. It's like, it's happened everywhere, every culture, everything.
always comes full circle.
You've got to distinguish the difference between greed and desire.
Oh, that's a good one.
Very, yeah, like I'm dropping some hate.
Do you want to go take us any deeper on that?
I was purely just read it. Have you read that book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad? It's like Guide to Financial Freedom.
No, but one of my mates just said the other day that he bought that book, or someone gave him that book. Oh no, he got it in one of those like those free library things that you just find on a street, where it's like a little box, and,
and you put a book in and you can take a book out or something.
Yeah, so one of my bros just
There's one down
picked
the
that
road.
book up. Yeah, and he's like, have you heard of this book? And I think it was is it a Chinese author?
Yeah. Or,
Yeah.
From there, but it is in English. I can read it.
Yeah.
Have you heard of that book, The Art of War by Sun Tzu? That's a great book.
What about the War of Art? No. I think there is a book like that where it's a play on the it might be that, but it's something where it's like a really famous book and then someone's reversed the thing around. It's like not
The
equally
War
as
of
good,
Art.
but it's still an interesting
Well,
book.
yeah. Anyway, carry on.
Well, I was actually going to ask what your book was about, because it sounded quite interesting.
Well, it's just Chinese military tactics.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's really interesting because you can apply it to most, like, in everyday life. It's just all the different tactics.
For sure.
We had a sailing regatta, and we were actually, so in sailing, in a match racing, you can, if you win the first race, so say you're in a final, and you're in a boat, and it could be faster.
There.
It could
I can see it. I'm there.
it could be faster than the boat that you're racing, the opponent.
Yeah.
So say you're in that boat first and you win. You're in the faster boat. And the other team's like, shit, well, he's in a faster boat. But you get the option to switch boats in every odd race. So the first and third race, you get to swap. So we're saying that,
Like swap opposition boats, or your team has like another boat parked
your
up?
team can swap into the opponent's boat. So you get to be in the
Really?
faster boat if there is a difference in boats.
Wow, I didn't.
Sometimes there isn't different, but
Yeah.
in this case there
I
was.
didn't know that. That's crazy.
In this case there was. So we're in the other boat. So we lost, and we're like, oh shit, we're in a slower boat. We need to swap. So we asked to swap, and we get back in the faster boat, And so obviously the faster boat, we win the race. So we're 1-1 now, and then we do another race in the fast boat. So now we go 2-1 up.
Yeah.
But it's the third race. So we go into the other boats in the slow boat, and we actually lose. We're like, fuck, this is 2-2 now. But then the other team were like, okay, well, we want to stay in this boat. Or do you want to swap? And we're like, nah, we'll stay in the slow boat. And then
Did you have the option to go in the fast boat?
Yeah, we'll stay in the slow boat. And it fucked with them like religiously.
Yeah.
And it just
on a deep level.
And it just completely threw the fast boat equation out the
Yeah.
door. And then because it was a tactic that I
Yes.
read from the Art of War.
Yeah, I think I know about that one. It's like, yeah, you can win the battle mentally before it's even fought.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go. And then
I need to get my hands on this book.
it's actually
I haven't
really
read it
good.
either, but it's like obviously the tactics and the thing bleed through. Because you're right. It's like, there's some things from a long time ago that still apply, and it's like,
And this
the-
is
the teachings from them,
This is
you
from
know?
years ago, like China war tactics.
yeah, like China's one of the longest living ancient civilizations.
So, in the end, did you actually think there was a fast boat?
Yeah, but I don't know. We ended up winning.
Did you win by much?
So then you won that.
We won the last race. Yeah,
So who were you sailing for?
we're sailing. Our team was sailing. Like,
Yeah, but who's your
team
team?
Japan.
Team Japan. Okay.
But it was just like me and some of the local boys here.
Yeah.
But it was just we always joke about the Art of War on the boat because
Yeah.
one of the other guys, Josh, he's read the book before.
Yeah, no, I'm keen to do more like paper reading. Like I do a lot more reading digitally and like podcasts.
Yeah.
Just 'cause I find it's more kind of like efficient. So I can pull up a thing anytime and just read stuff. It's not one thing specific, but I'm always reading a lot of articles and just information because I'm really fascinated by it.
Information is key.
Knowledge is power.
Knowledge is power.
Knowledge is
It's
power.
something that I've been working on.
Yeah, bro.
Is acquiring knowledge.
100%, because then it just you're able to have, I feel like more in-depth conversations with more people and more you can just converse and you can talk, you can share ideas and things, and then you can formulate your own opinions. Like you've read all of the things, and you can just spout all of the things.
Yeah.
Or you can spout some of the, but then you have your own opinion or own take on it, and then someone can have their one, and you can challenge them on it, and then it actually opens up like fun sort of discourse.
It all comes back to social media as well.
Oh, does it?
Well, people spend so much time on their phone that they're actually not conversing with people.
Yes.
And you're not getting the knowledge that
Well,
you're wasting time.
They're getting
Yes.
knowledge, but the knowledge they're getting is generally shit.
Yes,
like
terrible.
it's rubbish.
Yes, I agree.
Who won American Idol this month? Like, who the fuck cares?
That
It's
is-
a waste of
Who won
everyone's time.
RuPaul's Drag Race?
Yeah.
You know?
Take away from it, really. is
Yeah,
that-
that's why I was saying that I find I have a personal disconnect from Instagram. Like I'm not on there for me per se as a person. I'm on there for my business and my brand, which doesn't incorporate me, but that's what I'm there for. Is the thing, share and grow. Whereas if I have a cool photo that I want to show you, when I see you, I'll show you. That's more important to me. And I know because I find that there's a lot of stuff where it's like, it does create, like I was listening to this podcast the other day and they're talking about how the, rise of suicide rates and, mental health issues has been like matching the parallel curve of the growth of social media, especially in young people. And that's plain enough to, people always say, correlation doesn't equal causation, but in some cases when it's that clear, it's like, well, there's a fucking problem. And because, it's just creating, not everyone does this, not everything is like this, but a lot of it is, here's the best me and the best time, the best thing over and over and over again. So it creates this, false reality of just like, especially for younger, more impressionable kids, of just like, oh, that's what life is, or that's where it's meant to be, that's how I'm meant to look, and it just creates this fucking thing in your brain.
That's why the whole DuckDuckGo thing it makes a lot of sense. And I feel like you have to, in our age, when all the kids are younger and stuff, you have to use social media for all the right reasons of connecting with people.
Yeah.
With overseas, it's something that it's so new and it's so good. But I think the information part of it is just it's not very good. But it's, like you said, it's definitely pointing people the wrong way.
There's good information, there's bad information out there, and then there's also like good culture, I guess, and bad culture. But I think Instagram is a great tool for connection. Also like archiving stuff. You go, well, this is just for me to archive. But I guess the part of Instagram I don't like is like the superficial thing where it's like, and I guess that's what a lot of the influencers are as well. It's super superficial. Like I think it was like a big thing in the States where there's like a fake private jet studio. And, you can rent it for $100 an hour, so you could take all your photos with the champagne with the thing, and it's just like creating these false realities for people. It's just like, it's fucked.
So, You obviously like to digest a fair bit of information.
I do.
And do a bit of reading.
Yes.
If you're not primarily on social media, where are you getting the information from?
Well, I guess I am on social media because YouTube is social media.
Mhm.
Because you go in the comments, that's social. It's also, sharing of content. I consider that social. But I'd say YouTube and Reddit are my biggest go-to social medias.
I guess Reddit's generally pretty even playing field.
Yeah, like the good thing is, you can subscribe or unsubscribe to any single forum you want. So, I've over years of using Reddit, I've built up what I want to see, and if I go, oh, I don't want to see that, I unsubscribe. But you do, see in certain forums or subreddits, they call them like political biases.
Yeah,
like,
right.
For example, you take r/New Zealand, because that's how the whole Reddit thing works. r/ is like left wing leaning, and like I don't know, you see all this like pro sinister pro thing. But it's interesting. But then I follow a lot of all different kinds of things on Reddit, so I get interesting information about pottery, about this, about that, world news, New Zealand, just all kinds of different stuff. And then I get a lot of my information from YouTube. Like there's so much knowledge, and like
There's a lot of knowledge on YouTube.
I forget what the number is. But
It's
like
crazy.
The X amount of hours that are uploaded every
Do
day
you
or
have,
something.
do you have YouTube Premium?
Oh, of course, mate. Of
We
course.
got a trio here.
My man. Nice,
That's
boys.
us.
I've spent a lot of time
Well
on
done.
YouTube recently.
Yeah.
It's money well spent in my eyes.
It's where it's at. But it's one of those things again. There's bad content and there's good content. Like
Yeah, you can't get caught up watching the Now
take
Boys.
on all this shit. Like, but then again, it's good to have just pure entertainment. I'm gonna fuck around. I just want a thing.
Yeah.
But I think all of that all the time isn't good. It's like your selection of content and your quality of content that you're consuming, and like being aware also what is the bias or what is the agenda behind this content. And like you figure out who not to trust. So stuff that's coming out from Bill Gates or Zuck or any of those guys, I'm like, I do not trust you. And it's quite good. You can quickly hop on DuckDuckGo and you can start finding out reasons like why not to trust these people. Like Zuck's selling off information. The thing like just the monopolies that these people have.
Yeah.
I'm sure you know the saying, absolute power corrupts absolutely. These people have so much power and such a big monopoly that it's just like, well, I could be like a really good person and not sell all this data, or I can make fucking more millions and sell all this data because I don't care. I don't know a single person, one of these people. I don't know these X amount of billion people that are on Facebook. Let me just sell off all the data. I don't care. Look into Bill Gates, Monsanto farms.
I don't want to get too far in the rabbit hole, but I was going to ask you if you could touch base.
Yes.
Fuck it, we'll get into it. I'm interested. I'm interested. What is this? I've never heard about this Bill Gates.
I haven't heard that either.
Well, I think the best person to turn to for knowledge about this is this lady named Vandana Shiva. She's an Indian activist.
On YouTube?
Yes. And I think she has books published as well. But she talks about what it's almost like colonization. Basically, it's modern colonization through agriculture. And so I know I need to commit more of this stuff to memory so I can share it better. But I'll just share with what I'm confident in sharing.
Yeah, no.
And that's why point you to Vandana Shiva because she's got the knowledge. But yeah, it's like he was like taking over like agriculture, and so it's like again it's that socialist like centralizing agriculture, and there was like a big rise in suicide for farmers, and also a plummet in wealth and earnings. So these farmers were growing all these crops, and they were like starving, going hungry. They have no money, and it also like genetically modifying and making new strains and things. The plants, it's basically just going against the course of nature and also going against humans ultimately, and like also all the your GMOs and all this genetically modified stuff. And Vandana Shiva talks about how lots of these companies that chemically make GMOs and make all these chemical additives to foods. These were the companies that were formed in like World War I, World War II, Germany, that were making like the gases that kill Jews. Like these are the companies lots of these companies were. I think it's one main one. I think it was. I know Monsanto is the one that Bill Gates is on now, but I can't remember if it's that one. But yeah, it's like there's a clear line to basically these are chemicals to kill people. And like Bill Gates is on record saying we need to depopulate. I want to depopulate. We need a 15% reduction in population by this year, by that year. You know, whether that is the correct solution or not is another story. But morally and ethically, when you talk about depopulation, 15% reduction, who are you reducing? That's people's lives. And then when it gets into, you know, ethics and morals, you know, it's like, do you believe that, you know, every human life is as valuable as any human life? Like, are we all as valuable as each other? You know, it starts posing like these crazy deep moral questions when you think, okay, so to save the whole universe, we need to depopulate 15, 20%. And it's like, there's a disconnect between what that really, really means, you know, is people dying, people starving, people thinking, and you can go down the rabbit holes of like, oh, you know, was COVID one of these, was that? But like, one of the real ones is infertility. So infertility rates are like shooting up. I think there's like a clear link between the GMOs and all these chemicals, and I think like your microplastics that are in stuff as well have been decreasing fertility rates, and that's part of the plan of like a way to depopulate.
Fuck.
Look into that. Crazy.
I mean,
Getting into some children
definitely.
and stuff
like,
here.
and with like microplastics, like they're finding microplastics in placentas and women's placentas because it goes into the fish,
that's
goes into
real.
the fish, goes into the thing, and it's like, I find it quite funny because we're becoming more plastic. Like, not just because people are getting Botox and things become fake, but now we're actually
becoming plastic.
physically plastic. There's like BPA in our so basically, takeaway lesson: have kids as soon as you can. Advocate for teen pregnancy. Let's go.
You heard it here first.
Before you can't have kids, have kids now.
Before your kids have plastic in them.
Yeah.
But that's unreal because you see all these movies and stuff coming out about like depopulation, the world ending.
I don't know if either of you were in the same English class as me at school, but we watched Children of Men, and that is literally the premise for the whole movie is that there's no more kids. No one can have kids anymore. The youngest person in the world is 18. It's honestly, it's a crazy movie, regardless of whether you've seen it or not. I've watched it since then, and it is still as good as it was back in the day. But it definitely makes you think. It's obviously set like a dystopian,
but it's like, I don't know. We're starting to get pretty dystopian. Like,
I feel like last year was definitely a year
that really
that you're just like,
well, it would have definitely got people thinking,
or the other,
all the conspiracy activists,
definitely for sure. But it's like, I don't know. This is the whole thing with like conspiracy. Even the word is like, I think when it started, it sort of, you know, the general definition of how people perceived it was not how it's perceived as today. As soon as you start talking about conspiracy, it just lose credibility. But like, you know, you can get charged on conspiracy to murder someone. You know, it's like that's what the sort of real it's like there's been a sort of, it's even part of the conspiracy is to make the word conspiracy.
Yeah, I mean, there's like there's spark conspiracies and there's like insane conspiracies. Like, well, the conspiracy is about man on the moon. Like, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
But then there's these conspiracies that actually lead to a whole different kind of like case.
It's like real world effects from some of these ones that people are but it's like, you know, how do you define a conspiracy? What is a conspiracy? What isn't? And it's like something's a theory until we go, oh shit, that was actually real. But by then it's too late to, you know, care about it. Like, I'm sure in 20, 30, however X many years time, they'll go, oh, that was the real case with COVID, and that's what happened. And that's what happened after that. It was like China going for number one, because, you know, like this world superpower has been the USA for the longest amount of time. Yeah. And if I want to put my chips on a socialist communist government or a capitalist-based, you know, government, also the West, you know, we being a Western country now, New Zealand, I'm going to go with, and you know, I enjoyed my time in China. I liked Chinese people, but it's when you have an evil government regime, and that's what I like to be very clear about. It's like, this is not anti-Chinese people or that's anti-communist, socialist, evil governments and powers and people, you know? Real threats.
Well,
like, you just have the Uyghur Muslims.
It is mind-blowing, the whole COVID situation.
Organ harvesting. It's like another minority group in China where, a religious group where they chuck them in camps, live organ harvest them. Like, crazy shit, bro. They have so much power.
Links back to that reason, though. Why don't we see more of it?
Because mainstream media is biased, and lots of it is in the pocket to China anyway. Like, it may be in, like, and you can tie it back. But like you look at the NBA, for example.
Oh no! Don't do the NBA, please.
Here we go.
Don't.
Going on the
Who was it?
NBA.
I think they were.
Just don't mention LeBron.
I think they were starting. So LeBron is, is just sucking China's.
I mean,
It's true, isn't it? It's true.
it's not true.
It is true.
What?
That like you looked at. I think there was starting to be some sort of even like the mentioning of what was going on in Hong Kong, what China were doing to Hong Kong, which I'm sure you saw all the protests, all the things.
Yeah.
On a trippy another side note, there's this Chinese billionaire defector, and he was talking about a couple of years ago that China will, like fiercely seize control of Hong Kong, because I think it was part of the rules. It was under English reign, and then it came back to China.
Yeah.
I think, but then they were trying to enforce, ultimate Chinese rule and law, so that basically people can be deported out of Hong Kong into China. And then what this Chinese defector was talking about is basically how like the Chinese economy is all propped up on false money and things. It's a really another interesting side video, but he was talking about how that was going to happen, and that also, I don't know if this has been done yet, but like changing out the Hong Kong dollar for the US dollar, some sort of, it's an interesting sidetrack. But just before that, what were we on? Before the the NBA.
Fuck the NBA.
Yeah, we're back.
Give it to me.
I think they were starting to talk about what's going on in Hong Kong and how it was wrong, and then China go, keep talking about that, and we'll stop selling your jerseys here and stop,
Yeah.
And they go, oh shit, well
Yeah.
that's where 85% of our jerseys are sold to.
Okay. Well,
So
I
that's
have
how
that.
China have ultimate economic power, and then now it's affecting the media, because like we talked about before, it's like if you control money, economies, and media, then you have ultimate control, because China built up infrastructure over here and over here and over here. What this Chinese billionaire defector also talks about is that's also money laundering. That's how they wash money.
Exactly.
They go,
Yeah.
they will invest all this money here, build all this infrastructure here. It's also washing and laundering money to turn into legit money, but it's also like 40 chess. Like if you how reliant are we on China? Look at what's happening with wool right now. It's like farmers are struggling to sell wool because I think China put a tariff on wool, and now it's like so expensive that struggling to find buyers. And now it's like a shockwave through the industry. And like look what happened with Australia when they put the wine tariffs out. It's like lots of the West, and especially us in Australia and stuff, like so. I guess a lot of countries now are so reliant on each other, and I guess that's been one good teaching of COVID is like, oh wow, it's really beneficial to be as reliant as possible on local sources.
Yeah.
Because when stuff like this happens, now we've learned that it can happen. You just look, you're caught with your pants down. You go, oh shit, this stuff stuck out in the harbour, and now we've got months delays. We've got months. It's like it was a shockwave through industries. So yeah, I mean I think it's like you'd be surprised how much stuff links back to the power of China, and they're just wanting to be, the number one world superpower. And I think they probably are surpassing the US.
It's crazy because they talk about the NBA, and all like NBA players do a tour of China.
Yeah.
And they always say that China's great. Like it's a great place to
Yeah.
play. I mean, great place to play. I love the fans and all that. But then there was exactly what you said with the Hong Kong thing. There was a situation last year where there were all these some of the players made racist remarks,
Yeah.
and China
What'd they
basically.
say?
Yeah, in what way?
I can't remember. Like Houston, it was the Houston Rockets, but it was during the NBA playoffs.
Again, like,
Oh, was that one guy that was like
Towards
hooking up
Chinese
hooking
people.
up with a stripper or like a prostitute or something? He
Yeah.
made some comments.
Well,
I
and
saw
then
something like that.
but the thing was the NBA got into trouble, and then China said, "Okay, we're not going to air the Houston Rockets games in China."
Boom.
They were playing the Los Angeles Lakers,
Yeah.
who are the
Like
most
biggest team in
China's
the
league,
right?
biggest NBA team, but in China,
Yeah.
they're the biggest NBA team. They're the most
Yeah.
favorite,
Yeah.
and the NBA is like, "Holy shit! Like we can't." This
Yeah,
can't
we're
be
about
it."
to lose this
Yeah.
much revenue.
Yeah.
That's going to tank our whole thing.
Wait, what's the population of China now?
Oh, I think it's over 1 billion.
One
Hold
billion.
China.
Like
Like that's a lot of that's a lot of power. Like I mean, look at the Great Wall. Like that was a generational project.
398. 1.398.
China willing to, think generationally, and like
It's unreal, isn't it?
it is.
But I mean, we should get back to topic. What's next for Ussuri?
What's next?
And then what's your overall goal? Like where do you see?
What's next for
Ussuri?
you?
We're back.
We're back.
And what's
yeah.
next for Ussuri?
I think. Well, I've got some stuff that I guess I can't really say yet because it hasn't been confirmed. But all I can say, I guess, is basically I've got some some big things planned, and wanting to push myself more creatively than I have done in the past. And in my personal opinion, it's more creative stuff than I have done, and just sort of stepping it up. Like I always just try to improve, like creativity and quality wise. I'm wanting to do like a solid like winter capsule, winter drop, and also like another capsule or run of ceramics. And I guess I'm just wanting to keep growing.
Keep cups.
Keep going
you
up.
should do a keep cup collection. I'd order.
Bro, it's
I'd
funny
love
you
a keep
say
cup.
that. I was looking on because I thought about that because I don't know if someone's mentioned that to me before, but I was looking and I found local like the silicone rubber lids, so you can buy a pack of 10 or whatever of the lids, and all you have to do is make the ceramic keep cup.
Yeah, though, I mean plastic's all fine and well, but ceramic is
No, it's not.
for a keep cup.
No, it's not.
I mean, like glass.
Plastic's bad, remember?
Exactly. Glass, and then
Yes.
keep cup. But then
Problem is that stuff it shatters, but
exactly, but
I guess
ceramics.
that puts more ceramic shatters as well. It's almost just like glass, but it's like I
It's
guess
nice.
that puts more emphasis on I need to treat this thing better, and it's more important now because it can shatter.
Yeah.
But I guess with a keep cup, not necessarily, but more cups and stuff like that are made on a wheel, like spun on a wheel, because that's how you get those perfect sort of shapes and things. But like I have been experimenting with making mugs and cups, and I have like a compass sort of thing, so I can get like this consistent circle. So
I
set it
trust you to
4
make me a
centimetres to-
consistent
Yo,
circular
that's us.
keep cup. That's
Yeah,
it. You spin that wheel, boy.
Yeah, bro.
You get into it.
I'll put it in my ceramic order notes. I've got a little
Keep cup,
list,
Fellini.
list building up. Yeah,
I'd like a little beer as well,
How,
please.
how long
Oh,
do these
yo.
things usually take? The whole ceramic
Ceramics?
process. Like for just an average thing.
That was one thing that I got sidetracked myself on. But to answer that question, well,
Make sure you write that down.
yeah.
Nah,
Remind me
you do that,
afterwards.
rule.
I guess because I'll make stuff in like batches and go. So maybe I have a period where I'm like cranking stuff out. Because I'll sit down for like a few hours at a time and try to create as many things as I can and possible, whatever I'm feeling, whether I want to go more ashtrays, more incense. Recently I made a teapot, which took
nice.
5 hours. So it's learning, just learning and
Yeah.
get better at it as I go. It's a pretty cool sort of teapot thing. And then you have to allow the works to bone dry. So it takes about a week to 2 weeks. That's just, in the name, bone dry. It dries out. And then this is the part that, I sidetracked myself on before with my ceramic process is the relationship of how I got into proper pottery and ceramics was, through my flatmate Kahu, his mother Rose, who was into ceramics. So she's helped me with a lot of like teachings and knowledge and stuff about, actually making and forming and doing stuff. And then where I get all my stuff, like fired and glazed is this man named Peter Longy.
Mm-hmm.
Is just both Peter and Rose, just fucking awesome people, eh? Just like
Really?
love them. They're just bro. They're just like my two sort of mentors and friends now, And it's really sort of I'm very grateful and lucky to sort of have both of them in my life. And Peter, his brother was the Prime Minister of New Zealand at one point in the 70s and 80s. I think he was big on anti-nuclear. So when I talk to older sort of people, like our parents and things, when I mention Peter Longy, they might go, oh, and I go, David Longy, and they go, yeah. And I go, it's his brother. And they go, oh, fuck.
There you go.
So Peter, he has a Order of Merit for his from the Crown for his contribution to ceramics in New Zealand. So he's
Wow.
like full on. He's like traveled around the world, China, Dubai, Germany, just doing like ceramic
Learning
expos and
ceramics,
exhibitions
yeah.
and things, and just like showcasing. So I'll make my works, bone dry them, then I'll hit up Rose like, oh hey, do you have any works? And do you want me to come pick you up and we'll take our stuff and go to Peter's? Then we'll go to Peter's, and then with ceramics you do a bisque firing, which is like the initial firing, so it goes into the kiln just as they are, and they come out. So that's called a bisque firing, and then you glaze them. So if like I'm making something like that, there's a couple of different ways you can sort of. So I want to glaze all this, but if I just glaze this whole thing and put it in the kiln like that, it's gonna stick to the kiln once the heat gets up and like the glaze almost turns into glue. There's a couple of options what you can do. You can have like these little sort of pad thingies that you can put it on and it won't stick. But in some cases, that's not applicable.
Mm-hmm.
And what you can do is you have like hot wax it, heat it up to liquid form, and you use a paintbrush, and then you paint the wax into the bottom so that when you glaze it, the glaze isn't going to cover the wax, and the wax melts in the kiln. So when you pick up something like that, you go, oh, so we'll glaze on the top. Like this is what I do for my pipes because they're so small and not big enough to be rested on these little things that will stop them from sticking. And so you wax and glaze them. Then they go back into the kiln for their last firing, and then that's when they come out all finished, polished, looking really good, ready to go.
Sure.
Yeah, so that's the
Bit of a process.
Yeah, and then so when I make stuff, I press my logo into it, and then like a little serial number type thing just to keep track of what number's what, and like I have a little spreadsheet of where I'm up to in numbers, and if I can, I put the owner, because that's quite special for me, is knowing who owns it, because ceramics is something that'll last a long time if it's treated
Looked
right,
after,
like I
yeah.
was saying earlier. And I think clothing can be as well. Like it's always been a special thing for me, is that people like my stuff or my ideas enough to be able to spend their hard-earned money to rep it and to wear it, and that's quite special for me. That's why I do put so much care and effort into the product itself and the packaging, because it is quite special for me, and it like I was saying before, it gives me pride that it makes me feel good that people go, oh yeah, that's cool, bro. Yeah, I want to rock it. I want to wear it, and I want to pay the thing. It's just like it's awesome for me, because it's hard to make money off like a creative field, but I'm just wanting to keep building, keep growing, and it's something that I plan to do, for the rest of my life. Whether it's in this form or that form, I don't know, but it's, Ussuri is now, it's transcended for me just beyond like a brand, beyond the thing. It's like,
It's a way of life, yeah.
It's a way of life, bro. It's my ideology. It's balance, just trying to be, that's I guess the takeaway from the thing is having this the symbol of duality, a balanced warrior, is what I like to think of myself at when I'm at my best, is I'm a balanced warrior. I'm caring, but I'm stern, I'm thing, just that duality now, and that's what I want to try push onto everyone, is like pushing themselves to be their best self and to be a balanced warrior in their own right. And that if you always have this symbol on you or around you, it's that reminder, if you actually know, you're willing to read the thing, and every now and then I try to post it on my Instagram so it's fresh in people's mind, and new followers, that, oh, that's what that beer means. It's not just like a cool looking beer.
Yeah. It's actually, yeah.
Yeah.
Bang.
Sick,
Leo,
man.
Leo from Ussuri Brown Bear, getting deep.
Getting
deep.
Love it, though.
Yeah.
It was good, bro. Thank you very, very much for coming on.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having me, boys. It's good to
Fucking learned
Hopefully-
a lot
Have
of
a yarn.
things I
Yeah.
didn't think I was going to learn.
I've
about.
got some
On-
knowledge
on
to
your
share.
Tuesday night.
Yeah.
It's good.
Well,
Yeah,
hopefully we get you back in a
Yeah, very keen.
Mate.
few more months when you're
Yeah,
exactly.
bro. That's another thing where I was really, keen to do this. Besides, you boys coming.